I think as a collective, we all need to rethink how we're attacking this offseason, because I feel like for the most part, the fan base is attacking the structure of this roster the same way they have done so in the past. And the problem with that is that the rules have changed. The salary cap has changed. The escalators have changed. And if you hit those thresholds, you lose out on things. And so that's where my mindset, and this is where the NBA completely effed the Suns, is that I truly do believe that if the rules were in place literally days before that trade is made with Kevin Durant, I don't know if the Suns would have made that trade, because that put them in a bind. And I think as you move forward and you're talking about the construction of this roster, yes, I know it's a 2-year window, but because of the salary limitations now and the way that the league has worked this, you got to be very, very careful of not putting yourself in a position where you basically cost yourself another couple years, and then by doing so, cost yourself a couple years of good runs with Devin Booker. So I know the championship window is here, because you got to take advantage of Kevin Durant being still, a viable piece of your franchise. But if you go too far, then you run the risk of becoming irrelevant when he's done. And I don't want that to happen. You
are 100% correct on you have to approach this mentally differently this year. But we talked about this yesterday, and I thought about it afterwards. The Suns had to have an idea of the framework of what was coming up in the CBA, because they announced it a week or two after the deadline. So they had to understand the parameters. And I think you still probably make the deal even in this current world, based on the fact that you knew you weren't locked into CP3's deal and that you could find takers for Ayton. Now, if CP3 was locked in and you couldn't get out of that $30 million, you would have been insane to make this deal with the current rules, because you wouldn't have any of the exceptions. You would have basically had to fill out the entire roster with veteran minimum guys and anything you could get in trade. There are some maneuvering options here, but you're right. You have to do this smartly and deftly, because if you don't, at the end of KD's run, you may have to look at trading Booker to get anything to put you in a position for success in a 5-year span, because and everything can change, but we've seen this. You hang on to a group too long, the well runs dry, and you've screwed yourself for multiple years. That's how the 10-year drought started. They held on to Steve Nash well past his viability. They had no young guys because they had sacrificed the draft to either selling picks or making trades to try to go all in. And then you wound up with nothing for years. And that's the risk you run here, is if you don't thread this needle right and you don't win the title, you could be left holding the bag with absolutely nothing to show for it. It is very much championship or bust in this, because there's a chance you hit hard times after.
And that's why I think in these trade scenarios, I think it is valuable to get young pieces that have maybe had a year or two in the league that can actually contribute, but they're still young. They can still develop within your system. I think that would be the ideal move for the Suns. If there was talent out there like that. I know a guy like Lou Dort is not available, right? But if you're smart about this, you can find, guys that fit your system and develop. Now, we don't even know what the system is, because we don't even know what the head coach is. But James Jones, you would think, has seen that before. He's seen that development before within not only a program that he's been involved with, but also, watching a guy like Pat Riley move around and how he works the system and different things like that. So hopefully the Suns will be in a good position moving forward. But again, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. The rules have changed, and we got to be aware of that as we move forward too.
But it doesn't really seem like, and I feel like James Jones has kind of alluded to that he doesn't really like the idea of having younger players on a team and developing them.
And thus why I think you have to be considering, do I bring in a GM under him or without him as a part of it? Because if you don't do this right, You
could be in a
screw
world.
yourself.
Yeah.
We could be back to 19 win seasons for
Yeah.
a hot
I
minute.
mean, hopefully not. Hopefully not that bad. But like,
but it could be.
you do not want to wind up in NBA purgatory where you're good but not good enough, and you're the 7th or 8th seed, and you're getting first round outs, and there's no path for a future. You have to do this right in every single facet of it to put you in championship contention over these next 2 years, but put yourself in a position to succeed. You're already behind the 8 ball. You dealt 4 first round picks, so now you got to get even smarter than you had to before.